What's up, Screams by the Sea? I am Matt STUERTZ, the writer and director of Human, a movie for me. Pretty much everyone involved in it is my friend, and it's very sort of inspired by things that happen to me or real life events. So just keep that in mind while you watch, and I think it'll make for a fun Q&A. All right, have fun.
Welcome back, Matt Stewart's. Um, what the fuck did we just watch?
You watched, I think, quintessentially me in movie form.
To start right at the very beginning, we come into the world through this 8-bit animation, and then there's the hand drawn, and then we crash land straight into texting, and so we're not even fully in the physical world yet. What inspired that, and where does the animation come from, and how did you want to connect us through into this land of digital communication?
Yeah, so the digital sort of element to the whole movie is definitely like I'm a huge texter, and I've just had like so many conversations like that are very similar to this, which I thought would be pretty relatable, which hopefully it was, and just like the drama that comes from like the dot 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 popping up on a screen. Which is pretty terrifying. It's probably scarier than any supernatural god coming at you. And then even the whole Rockstar Cool sort of video game segment, that actually was inspired not from my life, but from the life of Jackie Kelly, who plays Danny in the movie, and sort of from like a real life event where she was being interviewed, and according to us, said a bunch of really awesome shit, and then what they used for the interview was exactly what is in the in the movie, and so I'm sure she regrets showing us this interview. But yeah, it's like as soon as she showed it to us, I was like, I gotta work this into a movie somehow. This is gonna be awesome.
Amazing. And so, who animated all of the 8-bit and then the hand drawn? Was that yourself, or was that
Yeah,
another member of the team?
so all of the 8-bit stuff is actually from a real game that I made that it
Oh,
will
wow.
be out at some point. It's basically done. There's just like some sort of back end bullshit that I got to do to fully get it out. But it's just sort of from like an endless runner, ridiculous game that also just like has like 8 billion inside jokes from friends of mine.
Amazing.
And it was inspired from real life events. And then as far as the animation, that was David Pitt, who also shot the movie and produced and co-edited with me. And he's done a bunch of really sick animation. So I was like, can you do something sweet, like to start this thing off?
Brilliant. And so, I mean, it's really interesting that you're saying that this came purely from this interview, because and there's a running theme of rocks throughout. So I was thinking that this was connected to more the groundedness and the nature of humanity, and getting away from technology, and having these human connections. Is there anything in that, or am I looking too much into it?
No, there's definitely something in that too. I feel like with a lot of ideas of mine, at least, it's like let's start from stupidity and then let's turn it into something that hopefully means something. Just like what started as just like I got to get Rockstar Cool into a movie. It'll be funny. Then sort of just like with that in my mind so much, like I hope at least to make it a part of the movie that like fits in with sort of the central theme as well.
Amazing. And so I guess where did this script, where did this idea, where did the opportunity come from? How did you start the ball rolling with this concept?
Yeah, so this was kind of a weird one for me where it started with the location and really just my friends, I guess. So I knew that I would have this particular film studio for a couple weeks to film in at a certain point, which was not too far in the future. And I was just kind of thinking, like, okay, like I have access to this place. It's an awesome place. Of course, I have to make a movie there. So I was just like, okay, what can we do that would be awesome where I could just work with my friends? We'll have a really good time also. And then really, I had a text conversation that is very similar to the one that started off the movie. And then that sort of like gave me the idea of like we can just start with someone stuck in a sort of strange place, just talking to someone that we don't see. And sort of like what initially in my mind was like, we'll build a whole bunch of sets, we'll like film in this studio, but it won't be set in the studio, sort of changed into like, let's just actually work with what we have. And like, we have a film studio, let's set a movie inside this studio.
Amazing. And what were the advantages to actually shooting in a studio that was supposed to be a studio?
Yeah, I feel like the number one advantage for me was the lighting in a couple ways. Of one, having access to a ton of lights. Two, being able to pre-light everything. There's like a great sort of rigging system that you can see in the movie that we can sort of just like light every area of the studio from the beginning. And then what I found really fun about it was that it's like the rare occasion in a movie where it's fine if you see the lights that are lighting the actors. So like obviously there's some stuff that we also add in that shouldn't be there that you don't see, but it's just kind of cool to be able to frame up a shot where it's like, here is the key light, you see it, or like here's like this background spotlight that comes on to like illuminate something, but we actually get to show it.
Amazing. And there's so many different inventive angles, not least, just through the text conversations, we're not used to seeing how real and how live that is. What
Yeah.
what did you shoot on, and was it multiple cameras? How did you how did you get all of these incredible angles and create such a variety in the pace and relationship between these cameras through such a closed set and through such minimal characters?
So most of the movie we shot on, real good quality cameras, but then whenever typically in any movie, like if we're seeing like a FaceTime call or something and it's like looks really cinematic, I hate that because it just feels fake. It's like if you're on FaceTime, you just expect the call to look like shit. So for any time it's like we're supposed to be seeing what the cell phone sees, we just shot it on a cell phone. And then kind of the same for the texting too. Like sort of fake looking movie texting really bugs me in a movie. So I basically spent hundreds of hours just texting myself and connecting a laptop to a computer and then recording through QuickTime the phone with me texting myself and like having all these conversations. And then I guess what I found kind of fun about that too is we're so tight on the text when it's on screen that hopefully it has that feeling of when you're just sucked into your phone and like that's just the only thing you're looking at. So versus like a shot of a cell phone with stuff going.
Absolutely, and I think that you really set a pace with the edit from the get go, because even though we're tight on that phone, there's still, you're cutting in and you're cutting out, and you're
Yeah.
building sort of a rhythm to the film. How did you find that, and then how did that then affect how you went and shot the rest of the film? Was it really really closely storyboarded, or were you much more feeling it out as you went?
So the rest of the movie was sort of a lot more planned out as far as shots, like sort of the more traditional part of the movie. The intro, like the shots themselves, we obviously had that stuff planned out, but a lot of that was really in the edit. Because even when I like, there was a long time where I had just sort of like text on screen in the edit whenever the texting was going on, and I was kind of like, this sucks, like it just doesn't work. So I was like, okay, let me just go in and get the texting for real so I can just see like there's just such a huge difference between seeing just like a text box with like this is what the text is going to be when it pops in versus seeing it actually being typed out. So that's sort of how I like really found the edit of that scene, was once I captured all of the texting and then could sort of like work with the real footage and the real sort of text footage as well.
Amazing. Yeah, it's such a strong opening, and it really grounds us and sets us up within the world of the characters, and that, I mean, it lays all of the foundations for the relationships, yet it still creates this sense of distance and disconnection, which is then continued throughout the film. Um, how what were you really trying to tell the audiences about how we communicate in the modern age, and yeah, how important was that opening to grounding that, because it's a long opening that we're just
Yeah.
on the phone, but it's compelling.
Yeah, I feel like it's such an important part of the movie to me, uh, in that I feel like if you're on your phone, you can just be like texting nonstop and like you're somewhat semi communicating with people, but like without an actual person there, it's like a really lonely feeling still.
Mm.
So I really liked that about the movie, where it's like there's some pretty fast paced dialogue going on, but I still wanted to have that just sort of weird, isolated feel to it, which hopefully it accomplishes. But yeah, really, with that being sort of like how I even thought of the movie's existence in the first place, it was definitely super important for me to get it right.
Yeah, and I think you absolutely nailed it. Because it really, you could live in that world for even longer. Although the world that we then get thrown into is a very very well, noble, maybe not the word, a very very worthy contrast to this. Um, yeah, this really really interesting. I think it's something that everybody can relate to in the audience. Really fascinating and suspenseful conversation between the two of them. Um, so Jackie's obviously amazing in the film, and she goes through so much. Um, how did you bring her on board, and when did you know that you could treat her like Sam Raimi treated Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead
Right.
2?
So yeah, but when we shot Human, I think I had known Jackie for maybe like 5 years or something before that, and I'd worked with her in a couple movies that David also was on, and sort of we were just like working on movies for some other people, and then a few things of our own too. But what I realized, and I had seen her in some stuff too. That's really good. But what I realized when we were working with her is that her personality in real life was sort of just so different from what a lot of her characters were like. And so that gave me definitely some ideas to just be like, all right, let's give her something that's like way different from other stuff that she's done, because like it'll be fun. She's really fun to hang out with. Uh, and then sort of when I knew that we could go full Bruce Campbell with her was on some previous stuff. We had gone pretty wild in some certain scenes, but then there's one in particular where she, in my opinion, she was super fucked up and crazy looking. And me and David sort of just asked her, like, is this the most fucked up you've ever been for a movie? And she just casually was like, no. Like it was nothing. So in that moment, I sort of vowed to get revenge on her, and so the shit scene eventually was born. Uh, and we asked her the same question on Human too, and it was a yes.
Okay.
So we're very happy about this.
Congratulations.
It is funny because as gross as it is in the movie itself, in real life it was so much worse.
Really? Wow.
That bathroom we were in that bathroom for like 2 days, and it's just a real bathroom, so it was nasty, and it took hours upon hours and like over 5 coats of paint to get it back to its former self.
Wow.
So yeah, it was brutal.
Um, I guess that brings me to asking about all of the different SFX in the film, and not least all of the different fluids that are used in the film, because it's a notoriously
Yeah.
difficult thing to get the right consistencies, the right colors on screen. Did you do a lot of testing with the SFX? How did you come to that? And who were you working with in the SFX department?
So first thing, it's actually funny. Speaking of fluids and things being based on my real life, I actually got to blow my nose real quick. You can leave this in if you want, but I'll be back.
No problem.
Yeah, there's about to be fluids coming out this way.
Well, we'll definitely keep all this in.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely better in this, better than in the movie form for sure. But yeah, so effects wise, it's David Pitt who also shot the movie, did all the effects
Oh, wow.
for us, and sort of I don't know. We work together really well as a team. It's also Stu Pitt, which pops up at the beginning, is basically it's like half of my last name and his last name, so that's sort of our company. But we kind of like knew this going in that we would shoot most of the movie except for all of the insert shots on sort of like the initial shoot day, and then we would have days that would be like just the two of us to do a bunch of really close up gnarly effect shots. And so that stuff was also super fun to do, and it was it was kind of nice, like essentially being able to assemble the movie into a pretty watchable form but just without any effects.
Yeah.
And then sort of go in and just be like, all right, we're getting like 20 shots today. It's going to fill this. And then we've got like 200 more shots to go.
Amazing. And so, was that always the intention going in? And at what point did you also capture all of the screen recording stuff?
Yeah, that was definitely always the intention. And it's sort of same with the screen recording. It's just, especially knowing now how long it took to do, it's like it just would have been insane to do it. Uh, Either on the day or really even ahead of time, because like a lot of that stuff too, it's like it's nice to be able to work with the rest of the edit, especially for the screen recordings, to where the great thing about that is like, okay, this line doesn't quite work, let's just change it. Easy. So and it's that section even originally was quite a bit longer, so it's definitely for audiences that are not me. It's way better in its current form.
Okay.
But yeah, it was definitely the nice thing about that is just being able to like adapt it to like, oh, I found this great moment that Jackie's doing with her face, but like the line maybe doesn't quite match up to it, so let's change it to something that works better.
Yeah, amazing. Out of interest, where in the longer version, where did that conversation go?
So there's one thing really that I'm just bummed that didn't make the movie. There's going to be a shot of just a full screen shot of a dick coming. That was like a gift that Aaron sent at one point, and Jackie's reaction to it's so fucking funny. And the shot was great too, but that was really the one thing that I'm sad about that got cut out. But yeah, it got like a little bit more sexual, and it was fun. It got a little more devious, but it just didn't really add to the like. It was funny and I really loved it, but it sort of just like felt like it was kind of dragging on at a certain point.
Okay. It's really interesting. You obviously, say you've worked with David a lot and with Jackie before, and you know you had access to this warehouse, to this studio. I'm really intrigued as an independent filmmaker. Um, what what do you think having a filmmaking community around you brings to a project, and would you have been able to do this without these key collaborators?
I would say extremely important and no. So I feel like the one of the most important parts about making a movie, unless you're just like a billionaire or something, is just being friends with really awesome people. Because it's nice to have like this sort of like small crew of people that it's like you don't even really have to ask them to like work on a movie. It's just like, oh shit, like they're doing a movie, I've got to be on it. So and it's it's not like that many people that I would be myself down to do for, but I like anyone in our crew. It's just like anything any of us works on, like we're all gonna like do whatever we can to make it happen. So and like have a ton of fun too. So I feel like especially with like indie stuff, like you just don't want to work with people that suck. So working with like, and yeah, that was like a nice thing about this movie is like we were going like pretty long on some days even, but it's like we're having a really fun time, so it was cool.
Amazing.
I've certainly had far worse times on much shorter days on stuff that I wasn't having fun. So
Yeah, yeah, it makes all the
yeah,
difference.
definitely super key. have awesome friends. It's really nice.
And is that because I know Jackie's from Missouri as well. You're from Missouri, and you shot your last film, Tonight She Comes Back Home.
Uh,
Yeah, and so how much of that filmmaking community has come from your days growing up, and how many people have you met in LA? How has that sort of been forged, I suppose?
well, it's kind of funny actually. David, I met after I had shot most of Tonight She Comes, and we actually met on a day where I needed to blow up a head for the movie. And he was a mutual friend of, or he was a friend of Brock, who plays Jackie Verde in this movie, and he's also in Tonight She Comes. And so Brock sort of introduced us, and I literally met him in person on a day where he drove over to my house, and then we got in my car with a shotgun and a bunch of fake heads and like drove hours out into the woods and blew them up. So,
Amazing.
and then like in that time, we were just like, how the fuck do we not know each other before this? And like, it just immediately became best friends. So, but yeah, it's funny of the Missouri people. I didn't really grow up with any of them. I sort of met them doing movies out there. Um, so yeah, not really like early childhood friends or anything like that. And then sort of everyone else that's on this movie is people that I met out here, or actually some of them I actually met while Tonight She Comes was at festivals, and we like met at a fest, and then it was just like, and I didn't live in LA at the time, and it was just like, let's hang out like once you move out here.
Amazing.
So yeah, yeah, basically just like if you go to a fest, talk to everyone, make friends with people, it works out nice.
Amazing. Um, just to it would be remiss of me not to touch on more of the themes of the film as well. Um, Christina obviously doesn't really last long. I felt bad that she got
No.
it. What did she? Why did she? How did she deserve this? What did she do?
I mean, she really did not deserve anything that happened to her at all. That's just sort of my like sometimes really terrible shit happens for no fucking reason moment in the movie. And like the person that suffers is just like the most innocent, like awesome person and is just like should not have had it coming for her at all.
It's a shame because she was great for the moments that she was on screen. She was great. Um, Obviously the men in this film are pretty chauvinistic pigs. What
Right.
what are you telling us about um, women's experience in the film industry through this?
Sort of exactly what you said.
Okay.
Also, people can be really fucking horrible, but and there, I don't know that I really even had this in mind, but for Aaron, who is Aaron and the God, huge piece of shit as the God, but as Aaron, he's actually like not a bad guy, maybe not a great guy. You just sort of don't know because obviously they had some stuff that was going on before the movie takes place. But I kind of I guess you could say there's sort of an element of like sometimes a dude is nice and sometimes he's just like a self-entitled god or he thinks he is. Or it's just like, I don't know, something possesses someone to be fucking insane. But I did like the sort of like dual roles there going on where it's like very briefly in the movie you get the real man, and then for most of it it's just like sort of like a body possession sort of deal going on.
Mm, yeah, absolutely.
And then yeah, Jackie Verde is just like I wanted to write the funniest, like grossest, most I don't know, most horrible human that I could think of, and what came out was Jackie Verde.
And with that, with Jackie Verde, what are you saying about British people when he suddenly becomes British at the end?
I don't. Well, honestly, what I was saying with that is I kind of just wanted it to play at some some British fest. So I was like, I'll just throw this in. Hopefully, people will find it funny. But
Well,
I
it's
don't know. I
worked.
just like the. I can't even remember what my initial reasoning was for that. other than maybe to just like, let's take it up another, like there's no need for him to be pretending to be a Texan when he's not, but it's just so much funnier if he does.
But it is interesting that both men in this, they have this conceit about them, you know, or this dual
Yeah.
role, like, you know, they're not quite what they seem, or
Well,
they're
and I like to, there's something unhinged about like, I couldn't think of like any real British person that would somewhat psychotically just decide to fake being from Texas and be like, I'm just also going to be a huge piece of shit because I can. It's just like, it's deranged.
absolutely,
But
yeah.
I love that about, I felt it added to his character.
I've never pretended to be Texan so far, but no,
Yeah.
I might put that in my wheelhouse. Um, Amazing. So, yeah, I guess to wrap up, really, I wanted to just touch on the audio effects as well. They were excellently done, and again added another layer of humanity and hilarity to the film. How did you achieve and how did you go about planning this, or was it again like finding that in the post production?
Well, so I always knew going in that the voices were going to be changed, but I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. So I actually did the audio mix for the movie, which initially I didn't even think I was going to do. So I was like, oh, someone else will handle this. But I don't know. I basically just did a ton of research online, found some like really good, highly customizable sort of plugins that I just got to really play around with a lot. And like a lot of it, I did a lot of stuff where it's like mixed in with the voice is like the sound of just like weird squishy blood, but it like syncs to the beat of the voice. So I found like just the tools to be able to do that was really cool. Of just, yeah, like take it's just like a whole bunch of sound effects and just be like sync this to the dialogue.
Amazing.
So that was really cool. And then there's like a bunch of sort of layering with the God voice of like we get a little bit of the real voice and then but pitch shifted, and then sort of like the really boomy sort of God voice. And then I kind of have that mixed a bit louder than anyone else's dialogue too, just to hopefully make it feel a bit more godlike.
Yeah, it was really effective and yeah, a lot of fun. The sound throughout is a lot of fun. An amazing score as well. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah, Joseph Holiday, or AKA Snakes of Russia, totally fucking killed it on this movie, if you ask me. And like, I loved working with him too. It's interesting. I find that some composers, like they either do or don't like, but feel pretty strongly about one way or the other of having a temp
mm,
score, or like them hearing the temp, like if they're going to get too influenced by it or anything. But what I loved about him is that he was just like, give me the temp, like tell me as exactly as you can possibly think of what you want the movie to sound like, and then I will work from that. And in every like in every song in the movie, he sort of took that and then made it like 1,000 times better because he actually knows what he's doing. But it was really cool, especially on some stuff that I really wanted to sync to like a certain beat. So I like found temp that synced it up in the way that I wanted, and then it was cool with the temp, but it didn't really have like the soul of the movie.
mm.
And then like he would send me a track back, and it was just like, oh fuck, this scene is like it's so much better now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he did an amazing job. And yeah, really interesting to know how you work with those temporary scores because it can really help you with the edit and get you through that edit, especially with
Oh
something
yeah.
that is as pacey as
And I
this.
will say too, for him, like I temped it with some pretty fucking awesome music, and I loved his score better in every cue.
Mm.
So like he really killed it on that, because like I attempted with some like all time great stuff in certain moments, and like as soon as I got his version, I was like, the temp is dead to me. Like the real score is so much cooler.
Amazing. Um, yeah, I guess what would you like to leave the Screams by the Sea audiences with? What should they take from Human, and what should they take into their own life? What lessons have we learned from Human today? Do you think?
I think a very important lesson is that the calculator app on your phone is one of the greatest apps ever. uh, when I first sent David the screenplay to, like, once I had that, because he sort of gets screenplays of mine like in pieces. But once I had figured out the ending in like a maniacal like 4 a.m. writing session, I was just like, I cannot wait to see what you think of this. He was like, fucking calculator, like this is so you. uh, and I was like, there's just something so amazing about having the climax of the movie being a girl in a calculator app. It's so fucking funny to me. Uh, but sort of aside from that, on a more serious note, I guess it's just, I don't know. I think it's, hopefully the movie says something about how even like the smallest victory against a total fucking asshole is like worthy of celebrating. That's definitely what I wanted to say with the end of it, at least. And sort of likewise, like knowing that like a huge piece of shit will be really upset if like a totally negligible thing happens to them, which is just funny.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love that ethos, and will certainly take that forward into my life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and I guess also like sometimes if you just want to do some drugs to feel better, just do it.
Fair, fair. Okay. No comment on whether I'll take that one into my life. Brilliant. And we've mentioned your film Tonight She Comes today as well, which is an incredible film, and that's where we first met and where I first found your work, which is still available in the UK on Studio Canal. So people can find it. Mikel for Screams by the Sea. You can find me at Mr. Mikel 91. Hopefully, hope you've enjoyed this and have a wonderful rest of your day, Matt. Thanks so much.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Nice one. Let's cut there.